Everyone, Corey here coming in to do my channel messages for the month of February. This is the 9th. I'm just getting through to the last few. This one is for Gemini. I was trying to record this one last night. It was kind of like my Sagittarius. The Sagittarius, it took me days to get it recorded. And every time I would start, it was like I couldn't complete it, couldn't finish it. And then it was like, okay, here it is, ready and ready to go. So I'm starting this one with a sense of being more in the conscious awareness. So more in that sense of being consciously aware, what you already know, what you can't ignore, what you can't neglect to anymore. That's what it feels like. So something is coming up for the Gemini energy, and I'm reading energy. Please remember, this doesn't replace any medical or psychological advice you've ever been given. It's to be taken as entertainment, and it may not resonate with everybody. It is just that energy that's around the Gemini that I'm picking up. And so I'm reading through that energy and just the visuals that I'm getting with it. So it's like, it's just that sense of just like, you know something that you know in your heart or you recognize and you're neglecting. Like it sounds like you're turning a blind eye, don't want to see it, don't want to have to deal with it, don't want to have to face it. But it is things that truly brings changes. And so once you're aware, once you're awake and aware, once you know something, you can't unknow it. You know it. Now you may find out a different story. You may find it out to be totally a different version of a story. And sometimes you need to do further investigation so that before you make any moves. It's like the game of chess. Like sometimes you got to really contemplate what else is coming around there before you make any choices and decisions. And you really get that when you're reading, like if you read one side of a story, like if you get this whole essence of this is happening, but then you find out something else. And I kind of had a little experience of that last week, I think it was, and it was around Brene Brown and her, when I said Brene Brown, who was that I was watching? I'll tell you. And Brene Brown, that's who it was. And so it was like she was talking about, or there was a post that I seen that she wasn't going to be doing her podcast, and then there was a whole bunch of other stuff that was like added on, right? It's like everybody adds in their assumptions and assuming and making opinions, and it was like, well, that don't really align with what her statement says. And so anyway, the more it unloaded, which she doesn't owe anyone any apology, she doesn't owe anyone any explanations, but she did anyway. She doesn't owe it to anybody. It's her life, her choices. And as she did, more of what it was that was really truly what it was that she was standing for, or what was on the other side that it didn't see on the other side, or I had never heard, or it didn't. And so when you start to read further, you got to know more information. I'm like, oh yeah, I get that. Yeah, like that makes sense to me too. Like, but it was just that whole essence of sometimes once you're awake and aware and you know something, you can't unknow it. And I think that was kind of that situation. She knows something, it doesn't work for her, it doesn't align, and then you can't go back on that feeling or that sensation. But it doesn't mean you can't go forward, and it doesn't mean you can't stay. It doesn't mean you can't do things, but change can happen, and that change sometimes can happen within us. So that's coming up for you, Gemini. It's like, where are you like so stagnant because you know something to what you know, but maybe if you explore it further, if you look at things differently, that you may also have a broader spectrum. You may be able to see it in a more colorful way, in a different way, and then you get your concrete answer. Nope, that's not for me, or yes, I can make those changes. So there's some level of flexibility that's also coming up for this month for you. Like it really truly is. There's just some level of like flexibility and making those changes. But it's moving beyond the shadow. It's moving beyond trying to keep going back into stuffing yourself back into places and lives where you don't belong no more. And so that's coming up. And so knowing your self-worth and and honoring that, and honoring who you are, what aligns to you, what fits into your truth, what makes sense to you. That kind of energy is very obvious, right? Like there's some sort of obvious, like it becomes so there's something new in your heart or in your vision or in your desires that becomes so obvious to you that you can no longer turn a blind eye. You're going to be making some turns, changes in direction, some changes in plan, refocusing, maybe even some apologies, or somebody maybe apologizing to you. I don't know, but it just feels like there's a lot of like knowing your worth, knowing your values, your truth, then you no longer will be trapped. And so the illusion of being trapped, I feel like it's like sometimes we get those messages, sometimes we get that need to want to respond to specific things or be stuck in different stories, and we feel trapped in situations. And that's where, you can, if you don't trap yourself, if you don't have yourself locked in, don't overcommit yourself this month, whatever you do, don't say yes to something you're not ready to say yes to, don't be stuck. And so it's like that messenger just feels like sometimes it's stuck within us and we can't get out, we can't move beyond. But here's the breathing room with a sense of self, a sense of awareness, sitting in peace and contemplation and just getting out of your mind and clearing out that clutter. I feel like you're able to then be able to just know, like it's that fleeting moment. Like there's once in a lifetime, it feels like once in a lifetime at this point of who you are that you get this opportunity. And I feel like it's like, don't miss your opportunities. Don't miss out on love. Don't miss out on happiness. Don't miss out on these things that are just like, oh, I just feel like I really need to do this. And this is wisdom of the night. So this plays in our lunar energy. So it also really truly look up at what your moon sign is as well, Gemini, and see what, so emotionally you respond to whatever your moon sign is. So whatever your moon sign is in your natal chart, your birth chart. I mean, I'm not an astrologer, so I just look them up and use it in different things that I'm doing. But in that energy and in that knowing, there's just something that just comes in and just says like, I'm aware or I know. I'm aware or I know. I'm aware or I know who I am. And now I just have to really just sometimes take these leaps of faith or just jump into something new that just says, let's just go. Let's just try this. Let's just do this. And so I have chaos. So sometimes chaos is coming in or chaos is leaving. Depends on your situation. Depends on where there's a sense of trap, depends on the story you're telling yourself, depends on that whole energy that's around you. So this could be coming in or going out. You could be on the end of it or just stepping in. And sometimes dismantling has to happen in order for us to be able to begin new. But I also, Gemini, your energy and what I'm picking up during your reading during this time is out there somewhere. I am feeling some real storms, like earthly storms, like something big is going to be happening in February. Something big is going to be unfolding in February. It feels like a disastrous. And it's not saying that it's happening to you, but I'm picking up as I am reading this on February 9th, that there is that big tornado or volcano or like something very destructive that kind of we cannot turn the blind eye to and we have to look at. I'm seeing this happening or unfolding somewhere. And so I'm picking up during your time, but I also have it. I always say we take the big things and then we bring it into ourselves. So that sense of a storm. So, you may have been at war with yourself. We have that Aries energy, like in that god of war type of thing. And so sometimes we're at war with ourselves or somebody else has just like constantly been like kind of, you've been at war in a relationship or whatever it is that's been happening. I just feel like that feels like it's coming to an end or coming in to finally make up your mind. Like, now I know, can't go back, no going back. I only can go forward. And so there is that move forward that's happening for you and going forward. You're going to be making some changes for yourself, for some of you. Movement. Right? So those plans you've been thinking about, those dreams that's been on your mind, those type of things that's been entering your mind. It could be a job, it could be relationship, it could be put a ring on somebody's finger. Valentine's Day is coming, or someone's thinking about putting a ring on your finger. And I think you may be getting that ring, right? Like it's like something is, and it's like see knight in shining armor, there's a white horse, right? And so, you know, in black and white, you can still have, in black and white, you can, without color, you still see white and black, right? So it's like, you don't need to have all the details. You don't need to color it all in. You don't need to know everything ahead of time. You just need to start making one step after another. Just start making the steps, start making the moves. And when you do, change is going to start unfolding for you. And I think you're going to be very, there's a sense that for a lot of you, you will be very happy with some of these changes. I don't know what that really means for you yet, but see, eye of the storm. Be at peace during that storm. Imperfectly perfect, the same thing. We don't have to wait for things to be perfectly in place. We don't have to, this is, you know, serenity, making peace at where you are, just sitting with you, being very mindful, so that that conscious awareness that you have is there's wisdom coming in from that, and that you pay attention to that you don't let yourself get too far away from it. And here's the wisdom of the elders, just like we're using the wisdom of the night cards. And so this is wisdom. This is wisdom that comes from consciousness. This is not from opinions. This is not from somebody else's thoughts. This is not from human knowledge. This is like wisdom. This is coming from your spirit guides, from the consciousness outside of ourselves, that's bringing in that sense of, we've told you 1,000 times. It's like, we've told you, you know, you can't neglect it. You've just been trying to avoid it, trying to run from it, trying to please other people, and you forgot you. And so you're not that big ass light right there. That's not who we are. We're that little one right here. So it's just that little sense of self. And Nugimi is, you know, in this wisdom of the elder, and she's not a crone card, because it would be the crone. This beautiful elder right here would be the crone, and we're right here. These are my cards. So this is the everyday goddess oracle cards that I'm creating. And, you know, so this is how I always say, I see myself as small, and there's always something greater than me. There's always greater wisdom. There's always greater knowledge. I always got something to learn. We always got something new, but we do have, you know, we are being fed to the degree of what we're ready to move forward with. So what we need to move forward with, we have within us. And we have everything that we need to be able to move forward, and that we can always go to the spirit. We can always go to our spirit guides, to our ancestors, to wherever we need to go to ask, but we got to be silent to be able to hear. In silence, we hear the best. And so sometimes you just got to step back and away from the crowd, from the screaming, from the, you know, the active energy. And you just got to say, okay, none of this is working. What else can we do? There has to be a better plan. And when you step back, you're not going to be left behind. You're letting everything else move away. Everything else moves away. And then left standing is you and your space to breathe. It didn't get ahead of you. It never got anywhere before you're going to get there. It gives you the space to move forward with using your own mind, with being able to see clearly, to be able to think, to be able to clear your mind, that you're not being influenced by some of the other energies out there, like that you can, your own free will choice, right? And just trusting that moving forward, because it's going to be very important for you in moving forward that you are not a puppet on the string. You're not so caught up in mob mentality that you have the courage to just say, no, I can't. I have to do this. Step back, take breath, breathe, and then move forward, because you will, you know, there is some beautiful things that are waiting for you. And I hope this aligns with, I hope this kind of works with you. Or, God, I can't even get my words out. I hope this message in some way helps you this month, and that it, you know, it gives you some sort of sense of, I'm curious, to become curious about yourself, and to be able to know that, you know, no one is the savior of us. No one can do any of that for us. We all have our own free will. We have our own choices. Even when you know it, you have the wisdom, you have the tools, you have everything. Everything is still in your own hands. And so, except for those major storms out there, that Mother Nature is not in our control, and Mother Nature is going to do what she needs to do. But I do pick up there is some big storm somewhere happening in the world, and there's definitely some war stuff outside of ourselves that are not really about us, but we got to be at peace. So be at peace with where we are. be calm, be centered, be balanced, and just know that you have to create your world inside of you and step back and away from the rest for now. Much love. Have a beautiful, beautiful month, and I will see you in March. Bye-bye.